Agradecer ao professor Trúdio e à Academia Brasileira de Ciências a oportunidade para fazer essa apresentação agora de uma pequena universidade que chama World Maritime University. Mas para ficar eficiente, é muito melhor se eu vou falar em inglês. E desculpa, parece, eu acho. The World Maritime University, located in Malmö in southern Sweden, 18 minutes away from the International Airport of Copenhagen, is a very different university. We are a United Nations university through the decision in the early 1980s by the International Maritime Organization, IMO, in London. IMO was involved in creating a series of very complex conventions that deals with how humans use the marine environment. And to grow global capacity, the Council and Assembly of IMO decided that they needed to establish a university that could actually do interpretation of conventions and make sure there were standardized global ways of dealing with maritime activities. Thus, in 1983, WMU, or the World Maritime University, began its operations in Malmö, Sweden, a very small university. The mission of the university was to offer postgraduate education, to do research for the sake of global capacity building. Clearly, when you start a university, financing of the university becomes a very important point. Swedish government, through the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister was directly involved in the decision, decided that it would provide 30% of the operation of the university. The city of Malmö said, we will provide the facilities, the maintenance of the facilities, and the utilities of facilities free of charge. And the rest is up to the university to do. Fortunately, we have many supporters around the world, and we're always looking for extra supporters, of course. And besides the Swedish government, the largest supporter for the moment is the Nippon Foundation, Japan's largest foundation. We offer, what we primarily offer is master's degree courses, and there are 6 specializations. They are clearly not oceanography per se, but as you can see here, it is maritime safety and environmental administration, maritime marine environment and ocean management, and this is what comes closest to oceanography. In fact, we look at things such as climate change, when the Arctic will be able to serve as a transport route between Asia and Europe, and we look at ballast water and other human-induced types of problems associated with oceanography. We also offer shipping management and logistics, maritime education and training, port management and economics, maritime law and policy. 7 years ago, we decided that we had so many customers in Asia, and we opened 2 MSc courses in China, one in Shanghai and one in Dalian, and they are very different. The one in Shanghai is totally supported by the private industry, shipping companies and the like, and the one in Dalian is totally supported by the Chinese government through its Ministry of Communication and Transportation. And we are actively seeking to expand our programs to other parts. I'm in discussions with Abu Dhabi, the Navy of Colombia, talking to the Panama Canal Authority, and also making some discussions here in Brazil. We certainly want programs also in South America or Central America, and certainly in Africa in the future as well. We are very, very small. We have 20 PhD level professors, and we have 50 support staff. Many of those are professionals. The professors are hired internationally. They represent 19 countries. We advertise in The Economist, in the Chronicle of Higher Education, Higher Times in the UK, and in trade magazines such as the Fair Play and Lloyd's List when we seek professors. And it's quite a process to hire people, in fact. I have had the pleasure of hiring about 60% of the academic staff in the past 3 years that I have been involved in the university. The university serves We're an embassy, defined as an embassy in Sweden. We all have UN status in terms of employment conditions, and the police or the fire departments, should they need to come to our facility, they have to have my permission to enter premises, which is rather strange. So you ask maybe, what's our relationship to the United Nations University in Tokyo? Well, we talk. United Nations University was decided on in 1967 and started operations in 1972. And it did so by a gift by the Japanese government of $100 million to be invested and managed by the United Nations General Assembly. The UNU, as it's called, has been operating ever since, but has only started courses in the past 3 years on one subject matter only, sustainability. And they have some partner universities around the world. So the number of graduates from the UNU is on the order of a dozen students, whereas we have graduated more than 3,000 students at WU. We have a pretty heavy-duty governance structure. I have an executive board of 10 persons appointed by the Secretary General of the IMO. The executive board meets 3 times a year. It reports to the IMO Council, to the Board of Governors, of which the Secretary General serves as the chair and the chancellor of the university. And then the Board of Governors in turn reports to the IMO Council, which reports to the IMO Assembly, and thus decisions are made in terms of structure. In all cases, our employment is, I recommend employment of professional personnel at the university, but I recommend to the Secretary General of the IMO who makes the actual appointment of positions. We don't have tenure, but we have contracts that are 5 years long at the time, and they work pretty much like tenure. If somebody isn't performing well, they can lose their job, but they are managed very tightly to be able to continue multiple contracts. The structure of the university, we are a very public global university. Therefore, our strategic plans and all other plans that we operate under, including the business plan, we display those openly on our website for anyone to see. And these plans take a lot of work. They are vetted intensively internally with the staff of the university, or eventually approved by our executive board and our board of governors. And every 2 years, each one are being renewed and updated, and we do that through all staff retreats that we do outside of Malmö. Well, let's take a look at the students. I'm comparing here the year which is about to graduate to the year which is about to start. As I said, we have slightly more than 100 MSc students that come to the university. This year, they represent 39 different countries. Those who come in without good facility of English, they are being offered a 3 months very intensive English course. It's an immersive course for 3 months. And we have about a third of our students take that course. Our PhD program started in 2006. We have graduated 8 PhD students today. We have 6 in the pipeline, and we have 1,000 more who are asking about what it takes to become PhD students. And of course, all of them will not come to us, but they're interested. We offer only one distance education course, and that is one that we do in collaboration with Lloyd's Maritime Academy in London, and it's a specialty course on marine insurance that has about 25 students per year. Obviously, we are looking at other ways of expanding our offerings through distance education as well. Let's take a look at our students. Our students, we have a total of 3,304 graduates. They represent 163 countries. We're probably the most international university in the world. We don't have a single Swedish student this year. We had one last year. We're going to try to get another student this year. But as you can see here, it is a wide mixture of different nationalities, races, and beliefs, and so on. And let's take a look at some of the various statistics of this. The average student is 34 years old. They are actually seasoned maritime administrators or workers in shipping companies or in other maritime businesses, ports, facilities, for example, around the world. The age range is from, let's say, 25 years old on the low side and 55 on the upper side. We currently have people who are deputy directors of maritime administrations doing an MSc degree at this stage in their lives. We're very happy that we can report that we have worked very hard in the past 3 years to increase the proportion of women who study. From the beginning, the university was an all-male-dominated university. We now have 35% women who are our students, and they come from also all over the world. The master's degree program takes 14 months. It's very intensive. The PhD program takes 4 years, and it's in 2 different ways. It can be traditional. You come and live in Malmö. You work as a research assistant. You get a salary if a project can support you, and some of the students prefer that way. The other way we offer the PhD is a remote type of a British research PhD, where students can be an administrator or work somewhere else around the world, and they are required to come into the university at least 2 weeks every year for a progression seminar and for proving what they have done. And this form of the PhD program seems to be very interesting to many people from remote corners of the world, and we'll see how many we will actually end up accepting in the next months or so. About a quarter of the students who apply are accepted, and about half of those we find the funding. All the students who come to the university have funding by some other source, either through a fellowship, and we have about 50% of our students get a fellowship. About the other half is either supported by its government through a ministry or an administration in the maritime world, or possibly by a shipping company, although our support from the private sector is far too weak, in my opinion. Different from universities in Europe, this is not free of charge, unfortunately. I wish we could. The MSc program, tuition for that is 17,500 euros. It's then money which is supported by whoever is paying for the fellowship or is supporting the student. And on top of that, about twice as much is the living cost in Malmö. We run a hotel, in fact, which serves as our dormitory. We have 218 rooms, which are very nice furnished private rooms with a kitchenette and a private bathroom. The total tuition for a 4-year PhD program is 24,000 euros. What happens to our students when they graduate? Well, they vary greatly, but I was earlier this year visiting in Ankara in Turkey, and 2 of the current sitting ministers in Turkey graduated from the Royal Maritime University in 1990-91 respectively. The Minister of Transport, Maritime Affairs and Communications, Mr. Yildirim, who is also serving on both of my boards, and Dr. Yilmaz was a 1990 graduate, and of course they are today maybe the ones that we are appreciating the most. But we have quite a number of former ministers from around the world, actually maritime administrators, national parliamentarians and legislature members and the likes, who studied in Malmö and remember the city very fondly and like to come back and visit with us from time to time. There are about, as far as I can tell, 550 maritime universities, academies, or institutions around the world that offer some kind of at least university training in the maritime area, and hundreds of training facilities on top of that. All of those universities, academies, and institutions are national in scope. They look back to their home government for regulations, for support, and the likes. We are international in scope with a global responsibility for capacity building. So this is the one thing. We really have this international outlook, respond directly to the needs of the International Maritime Organization, and I go to all council meetings and assembly meetings, and together with the ASG have a chance to make a presentation on the progress of the university. The other aspect that we boast about and feel very good about is the excellence of the education. Our vision is to be the very best educational facility in postgraduate maritime university in the world, and we partner with many institutions where we don't have in-house expertise. And of course, the students really benefit from this multicultural setting to be able to talk to their colleagues from similar positions in countries from Mongolia to Chile, from Canada to Indonesia. The aspect of our education for the master's degree that students seem to appreciate the most, and this is built into the tuition, is the field study. During the 14-month MSc course, we take all the students with their classmates and professors on a global field trip for 3 weeks. We travel to Korea, Busan usually. We go to Yokohama and Kobe in Japan. We visit Singapore. Last year, for the first time, we went to Valparaiso in Chile, Halifax, many places in Europe, such as Rotterdam, Genoa, Athens, Malta, and this past year we started in Istanbul. And the way we work this is that I usually make an agreement with the maritime administration of that particular country, and let me use Singapore as the example. The municipal port authority in Singapore, the vice president is one of our graduates. They open the door. We pay for the students, on behalf of the students, their travel to Singapore. When we come there, the MPA in Singapore takes over. They roll out the red rug, provide transportation, provide housing, provide food, and an interesting professional program visiting shipbuilding facilities, port facilities, and administrations in Singapore for 5 or 6 days. And that's basically the model that we use for all these field trips around the globe. We're very happy. We've been in an old building for 29 years, and a year from now we celebrate 30 years of the World Maritime University, and the city of Malmö has decided to grant us a new facility and almost doubling the available state. On one hand, we will inherit an old historical building in the city, which was previously the harbor master's offices, and after that the headquarters or the administration building for Malmö University. And that's a building with a tower in the background. The building in the foreground is a new part of the university with a large theater arena for large presentations. And a world-known architect called Kim Utzon has made the design. I like to boast by the fact that the father of Kim Utzon was Björn Kjerfve, who's designed the Sydney Opera House. So we have clearly a good architectural DNA. My participation in this has been to be very troublesome to the city of Malmö. I said, great, we have 2 buildings, but if you don't fix the 2 buildings so that from the inside it looks like a single building, we don't have anything. And that's exactly what the city is doing. They're not only building a new part, they're actually reforming the or doing reconstruction in all of the interior of the old building. And the picture to the lower right are the 2 Secretary Generals of IMO, the previous one and the present one, together with the Mayor of Malmö, where we laid on the 8th of May this year the cornerstone for the new university, which will open in April of 2014, about 15 months from now. We do development, of course. We're looking for resources such as video conferencing equipment and much, much more. And I noted yesterday that Professor Campos was boasting about the Science on the Sphere. We will install a Science on the Sphere in our main auditorium, use that for outreach to the general public as well as to universities and school children from the region. And when we bring in some Nobel Prize lecturer, he or she might want to use that as a prop as well. One of the things that I want to point out here, I'm having something EU Djibouti Training Regional Center. Earlier this year, in competition, we won a €1 million contract through the European Union to provide long-term training in Djibouti in Africa on behalf of 8 African countries. Not only is that going to bring extra scholarship students to us, but we are actually going to offer short courses in Djibouti for the benefit of these African countries. And this is the beginning. We're now leveraging that project to try to get more funding. Our outreach is really outreach teaching for us. On one hand, we have agreements with two maritime universities in China, the Shanghai Maritime University and the Dalian Maritime University, and we run their courses on the campuses of these existing universities, but with our professors and our intellectual content. Very interesting, and lots of support from the Chinese government. Earlier this year, we opened an office, a permanent office in Shanghai, supported by the municipal government of Shanghai. And I have an international vice president there, a very experienced man who's been with us for 12 years at WNU, and two senior PhD students and an office worker. We are looking for many projects and many activities in China, and that is going very well right now. We also run annual international conferences. Last year we ran a conference on oil spill risk management. The chairman of BP's board was there, noted Mr. Swanberg, as well as a commandant at the time of the U.S. Coast Guard, Admiral Thad Allen, who looked and were the two opponents in the Deepwater Well Horizon incident in 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico. Then last fall we ran a conference on marine piracy, and this attracted about 400 plus participants. The upcoming conference is next April. It is on ship recycling, and I'm also, for the first time, will be running an alumnus conference in Lagos in Nigeria in April. And then in the fall, in part of our celebration of 30 years, we are planning for a gender equity and corporate social responsibility conference in Malmö in Sweden. Marine insurance is our, as I said before, is our only distance education course. It's been going on for 7 years, and we do this one in collaboration with Lloyd's Academy Lloyd's Maritime Academy in London. We offer a large number of what we call professional development courses. These are short courses. The shortest ones are 3 days, and the longest one are 3 weeks, and the time varies in between. And we have you see some topics listed here, but we are pretty flexible. And in the last few years, we have offered PDCs in places such as Vladivostok, Yangon, Muscat, Accra, Constanta, truly around the world. And we will now have our courses, of course, in Djibouti coming out as well. The faculty members do research. These are the 12 projects that we have acquired this year, and we are looking for more. The faculty are very active, and it's very good. And as you see, there are some there that are really environmental as well. We have quite a few activities, ongoing projects that have to do with the marine environment in the Baltic in particular, as well as in the Arctic. And global climate change is very much part of the thinking in terms of what type of work we are doing. But it is applied work. It's not the pure science. It's very applied maritime science. We enter into many partnerships around the world, sign off MOUs, and each one of these MOUs are for very specific purposes, either for joint teaching, for joint research, or for gaining support. The most recent one I signed was in Argentina. It was with the Prefectura Naval Argentina, where Argentina committed itself regularly to send students to WMU. And when I travel, I always look for those kind of commitments. And that's about what I can tell you about the university. I got the 5-minute warning, and I'm adhering to that. We are a tiny, very specialized boutique university or niche university in Malmö in Sweden. But we have a quite high global impact in the maritime world, and are very well known in China, Japan, and Korea, and Indonesia in particular. Much better known there than we are in Sweden, in fact. Totally, there have only been 9 graduates from Brazil, and clearly I would like to see the number of Brazilians who come to WMU to study increase. countries in South America that do much better are Colombia, in Chile in particular, they have about 13 graduates each. Also Peru. And interesting enough, we get now regular students from Paraguay, that's part of the Paraguay coast guard. Chile, Argentina is pretty good, and we're going to double our number of students from Argentina from now on. Thank you, muito obrigado para a oportunidade para falar com respeito à World Maritime Universidade e convidei todos vocês para visitar lá. E se você tem interesse para estudar lá também, é muito bem. Muito obrigado.